First thing I want to say is that conflict resolution or conflict in relationships is not only is it necessary, but it's bound to happen. You cannot bring two people into and try to bring them into unity without having some conflict. The conflict arises either because we have a difference of opinion, because we have a difference which can come from having a difference in upbringing, having a difference of perspective, which includes our upbringing. So there's a lot of things that bring us to this point. But ultimately, a good conflict resolution is something that is practiced, and it is something that over time has to be perfected. Because the truth is, all of us at our core are pretty darn selfish. And so we want the conflict to end naturally. We want conflict to end in the way that we think that the conflict is supposed to end. So we want the outcome to be what we think is best. And oftentimes, what we think is best is really not what is best. And so that's what makes conflict resolution such an important aspect of any form of relationship that we are in. So again, I've always said that that one of the things that what we typically call conflict resolution is not conflict resolution. What it usually turns out to be, and what makes it dangerous, is it usually turns out to be that the person who is either the better person arguing a position or the person who is more passionate about that whatever it is usually the person that quote unquote wins. And when that happens, what happens is the other person, the other party, begins to carry senses of or moments or things of where they begin to despise, where they begin to doubt the relationship in the other person. So there's a couple of things. So you guys have heard me talk about, of course, the importance of assertiveness and active listening. Assertiveness, again, is defined as the ability to clearly articulate what you want and need from your relationship, from your partner in the relationship, and from the relationship. And then active listening is being able to hear what the other person is saying and to be able and to respond that you hear what the other person is saying. So it's doing that. It's not settling on what the best what the best arguer, what the person who's most passionate about the specific thing that we're trying to resolve is. When we do that, when we come to a place where typically we talk about compromise, where compromise or conflict is resolved, in a lot of instances, both parties have had to give up something. Not all the time, but a lot of times, both parties have had to. The other option, of course, is that the other person realizes that their perspective was off and says okay and changes their mind. But that becomes very difficult when you're dealing with adults, but that's a totally different discussion. So, what are three things that we should consider? I'm gonna give you those three things, and I'm gonna get out your way because I gotta go. There are three things I want us to consider when we are the in a situation where we are trying to resolve conflict. And again, good morning, afternoon if you're watching the replay, or evening. If you have not hit the share button, please hit the share button, and of course, always leave your comments. And also, if you see that link in the comments, that link is to my virtual relationship forum where we'll talk about some of this. We might not get into conflict resolution, but we're gonna get into some really good stuff. So it's free. It's April 2nd. All you gotta do is click the link and register. And I have a special surprise that night too, so I hope you're there. So okay, three things to consider while trying to resolve conflict. Three things that we should consider. And again, these are any relationship, work relationship, friendships. This is business relationships. This is um, of romantic relationships as well. Here we go. Three things. The first thing that we have to consider in resolving conflict is our tone. You've heard that how you say something is just as important as what is said. How we say something is just as important as what is said. So when we're trying to resolve conflict, we have to be aware that how we say something to our partner um, is can either help them, bring them into understanding, or push them away, simply not by what is said, but how it is said. We've already entered into a space where we know that we disagree with one another, but when we disagree well, when we remember that the person who we're talking to has triggers, has a past, likes to be spoken to in a certain way, needs to be spoken to in a certain way, then that will help us to enter into this space of conflict resolution better because our partner can hear us better when we speak in a way that they understand. It is almost just like I can say, we're talking about tone, but a little different. I can say the same thing in English and in Spanish, and if you don't understand Spanish, then it doesn't, what I'm saying doesn't make sense to you. It's the same thing. If you prefer to be talked to in a manner that is calm and that is not full of profanity, and your partner cannot do that, then you're going to be defensive. You're automatically going to enter into a defensive posture, and you're not going to be hearing because a part of your consciousness, a part of yourself, a part of your body, a part of your mind is focused on how can I defend myself in this conflict. So it doesn't become now a verbal conflict. It almost physically turns into a physical conflict, or you're trying to make sure it doesn't turn, and vice versa. If a person is used to talking in a come from a history where conflict comes in a space of where y'all cussing at each other and that doesn't bother you and the other person doesn't, sometimes that tone, that calm tone, makes the other person think that you're not fully engaged or this might not be that big of a deal to you because of the way because of your tone. So, again, understanding how you say something to your partner, to the person who you are trying to resolve conflict with, is just as important as what you say. That's number one. And then the second thing to consider is your title. So the first thing is your tone, the second thing is your title. What do I mean? I mean that we should remember that in a conflict resolution, both people are servants to the relationship and to one another. So, what do I mean by that? I mean that anytime we are in relationship with somebody, we come to the relationship, we come to the conflict as equal partners who want what's best for the relationship and for one another. And so, in doing that, our posture, our words, our actions, what we want should be aligned with what is best for that. So we're not trying to abuse, we're not trying to tear down, we're not trying to make the other person feel bad. We're not going to hit below the belt to say something that we know that's going to cause the other person to go out of control because then we know that at that point we got them on the ropes. We're not going to try to manipulate the conversation, but what we're going to do is we're going to approach this from the posture of my role is to be a servant. Your role and your goal is to be a servant to this relationship. And remembering that, if both people can remember that, then what that does again is that creates a space where conflict resolution becomes easier. Once again, let me remind you, if you have not, click the link in the title of this live. Please click the link and join me April 2nd, which is what, next Friday, for our relationship, our virtual relationship forum. You are warned. This is not Sunday school, so we going from A to Z if we have time. So if be there, I want you to be there. I need you to be there. So all you gotta do is click the link and register that you're going. And I look forward to seeing you next Friday evening. Number three, here is the third thing. The number three thing to remember when you're trying to resolve conflict is what I call your terrible. So your tone is number one, your title is number two, your terrible is number three. What do I mean by your terrible? I mean that when we come to conflict resolution, not only should we remember that we're servants, but that we should communicate from humility and not arrogance. Because even if the other person is wrong, even if the other person has done something that has angered us, and it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to be disappointed, but we also have to remember that there have been times in our relationship where we have been wrong and where we have been the person who has needed forgiveness, and if we haven't, we will in the future, who needs grace and who needs the mercy from our partner or from our partnership. So when we communicate from a place of humility and not of arrogance, then again, it reduces defensiveness. It creates an environment where, again, where communication is easier, where assertiveness and active listening are easier to have, where solutions are easier to come forth. And if you listen to the show on Tuesday, Rashim said something that was really good. He said that you want to be in a relationship with somebody who is committed to solutions. And that is true. You want to be in a relationship, you want to be partnered with someone who it's more important for the relationship to be successful than for them to win the moment. And that's important. And so when we come from a place of humility, then it's easier for us to say, listen, this is what I believe. This is what I strongly believe. This is what I passionately believe in, but I still could be wrong. And even if I'm right, I'm still not going to use this as an opportunity to belittle or to beat you down. But I want to use this as an opportunity to build you up, to build me up, to build this relationship up so that we can be the people, the partner. This can be the partnership that really is successful and build and brings us both to the place of purpose and of destiny. So those are three things. Again, conflict resolution. When trying to resolve conflict, remember your tone, remember your title, and remember your terrible. Three T's. If you can remember those, then I can promise you, if both people can remember those, I can guarantee you that the inevitable conflicts, the difficult conflicts, they're going to be difficult ones, but staying in that posture ensures that that conflict, that the resolution will make you better and not make you bitter. So I hope this has helped you. Again, have a good day. Relationships are worth it. They're hard, they're difficult, but they're worth it. And I can promise you, I've made every mistake you can possibly make. And I can tell you that at the end of the day, that relationships are unequivocally worth it. They are worth it for us being better. They're worth it for the other person being better. They're just worth it all across the board. So I hope this helps. Again, if you haven't hit the share button, hit the share button. If you watch this replay or if you're watching now and you have comments, please put them in the comment section. I do go back and read those and we'll respond if you have questions and comments. So I love you. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day. And know you're worth it. You're worth it. There is a great purpose and destiny for your life. Don't let the things of the past keep you from going after the great things that are in your future. I love you. I'm out.